Socialism sucks. Socialism sucks. Socialism sucks.
Pressure is a beautiful thing.
You want to have a debate, but you actually don't debate.
Put up or shut up, Charlie Kirk.
It is easy to interrupt and to scold and to insult. You know what's hard?
I have to go to a college campus and defend ideas that are in the minority of a lot of these kids' worldview.
I mean, I don't like any elite.
Okay. Yeah, you're black, but it doesn't matter. It's not the most important thing. Instead, it's, are you a good person? How do you act? How do you treat other people? Are you a Christian? Like, what is your worldview? I want to get back to that. Of course, we're still going to see differences, but I want to de-emphasize them to a place where we look at each other as fellow human beings and fellow American citizens. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, can I get a half of my
Absolutely.
buddy?
I first found your content was you on the college campuses debating. When did that start, and what was the most surprising aspect of that?
Yeah, so I've been doing that for 13 years. I haven't been doing that on camera for 13 years. And so, look, the Lord has been so amazing to us and has blessed us in amazing ways. And so I never would have imagined, like, honestly, ever since like I met Foster Freeze.
I'm Foster Freeze. Maybe you've heard of me.
That we'd be somewhat of kind of like a household name. I don't want to overextend it, but I mean, there's some serious virality and some real punch behind what we're doing. So I started doing that without even filming it. I used to go and debate kids when there was no incentive structure for virality. I just did it because I loved it and I love the battle of ideas. And I did it to try to start like a turning point group on campus. And so I've been doing it for 13 years. We started filming it around 2017. We started perfecting the model really around 2021, and then 2023 is when all of a sudden it kind of became a somewhat a cultural phenomenon. And then, of course, the last year seems like I can't get out of people's algorithm. I try to do a couple things, and I fail. But if you notice, in the viral videos, I try to put my microphone down, literally physically on the table when the person is asking their question, because I want to try to give them uninterrupted time to be able to make their argument. Number two, there is an advantage that the person coming up to the mic has, that they're allowed to ask any topic, and I don't know what that topic is going to be, and they could prepare profusely on it. But you're right. Of course, it's advantage to the guy that does it for a living, right? But understand, like, I have to go to a college campus and defend ideas that are in the minority of a lot of these kids' worldview. I was just recently graduated from high school. I wanted to go to West Point before that, didn't get in, and it ended up being one of the greatest things that never happened to me. And so I went to the Republican National Convention. I studied like all the major donors. I had to kind of like sneak my way into the RNC grounds, if you will.
So can I ask one of you fellas, what is your ideal situation then for
The Constitution, more freedom. We're far from it now. Let's get back to restoration of individual liberty, states' rights. More like Texas, less like California.
And at the fourth day, I was so demoralized. I was like, oh, this is not working. I have this idea for Turning Point USA, which basically the idea was to try to win over young people around conservative ideas. And I was in a stairwell, literally a stairwell. And then I saw Foster Freeze doing like a podcast interview with this major cowboy hat on. And I gave him the stairwell pitch. You know, people talk about the elevator pitch. I gave him a stairwell pitch. And he told a couple jokes. He was the sweetest, most godly, incredible person ever. He actually took me seriously, because here I was, 18 years old, no money, no connections, no idea what I was doing, and no reason that he should be listening to me. And this guy, for the people that know, Foster Freeze started from nothing in rural, I think it was like Rice Lake, Wisconsin, became like the top mutual fund manager for like 30 years.
All the things that are possible when you only have 16 kids in your class.
So here I am pitching a guy, a legend, about, you know, this organization that I wanted to start, Turning Point USA, and he took me so seriously. And he wrote me a $10,000 check. And that was like the seed funding. It wasn't shares. It wasn't like equity. It was just a donation because we were 501c3. And it might as well have been $100 million, right? It finally was enough for me to be able to start a website, to have gas in the car. And then from there, the journey just started, and he became a bigger and bigger donor. He probably saw someone that was passionate enough and crazy enough. And honestly, he probably saw someone that was really like naive to a great extent, that I still wanted to get into this like broken political space, but I didn't know any better. And in Foster's own words, he said he saw someone with focus and determination and a Midwestern work ethic. So he was from Wisconsin and I was from Northern Illinois. So we kind of had that in common. Well, I had nothing to really risk because I had nothing to lose. in life, if you think about it, like, okay, if you're second mortgaging your house, like some entrepreneurs are, I don't have like one of those stories, right? I'm sure you guys talk to some of these people. I was on the second mortgage of my house and I couldn't feed my kids. That's actually not my story. That is something to lose. This is like the only thing you have to lose is your own sense of comfort. That's kind of weird when you think about it, right? I mean, oh, I'm not going to ask that girl out. Why? Well, because I'm comfortable in my own corner. Comfort will not bring you success, actually. It won't bring you excellence. Like only in that place of uncomfort and discomfort do you actually get to the next level. Like, I mean, it is risk in the sense that we as human beings do desire comfort and we want to kind of be in a place where we can have certainty above uncertainty. And going and asking a question or going and asking a top billionaire for money, you have the probability of failure. And we are very failure averse as a species. And honestly, we should be. Like you think about 5,000 years ago, you have, 2 kids and you're living in like Mesopotamia. And you're like, well, I hope there's food over that hill. And if you're wrong, your whole family could die. So like that's embedded into our species, right? God designed us in a way where there was not a lot of food all the place. So now you kind of extrapolate that kind of genetic wiring where we used to be in the wilderness to Foster freeze. And you think you're like, wow, Foster tells me no. My whole life's going to actually, no, you're going to be fine. Like you could go and still eat food and you're not going to die. And so I think we have to overcome our genetic hardwiring where so many people think that it's like a life or death situation. I can't ask this girl out. I can't go ask for a raise. I can't go to my boss. I can't assert myself. And you have to overcome that because it's actually not that much risk. Now, what is risk is like if there's a material or a reputational thing you're putting on the line. Like, for example, if like you're working for a company and they're like, you're not allowed to express your conservative views and you're like all of a sudden wearing a MAGA hat, that's a risk. Like, I totally get that. But if you're 18 years old and you have no money, no connections, no idea what you're doing, I had nothing to lose. And that's actually one of my main arguments for like why we have so few entrepreneurs nowadays. We have less and less entrepreneurship rates are going down. Is we're sending all these kids to college and they're telling you to be risk averse. Like the whole incentive structure in college is to not pursue big, broad ideas, is actually to stay rather cloistered. And like, but yeah, no, look, I would say that I learn a lot too, and that's what's important. I do 100 hours of this a semester. 100 hours, in addition to 2 hours of podcasting radio, right? 250 speeches a year. I got to raise $130 million a year and I got 1,000 employees. I got a lot going on, right? I still do 100 hours of content a year. So 200 hours of campus content. And I'm not just like, I try and I fail. Everyone would fail at this, but I try not to just be ready to say what I want to say next. I try to really learn and listen. And then I try to listen back to the footage. And so this is one of the reasons why it's a little bit unfair when I go to these campuses because I've been doing it for literally 1,000 hours and these kids are like a college, freshmen. So I try to have at least somewhat of a teacher role to them and try to be a little bit softer, unless if they're coming after me and they're like insulting me and you've seen it, right? Like they're just being like totally like blitzkrieg. I try to meet you at the frequency you're at. So if they're coming after me and they're like insulting my appearance or whatever, like I'm not going to let myself get run over. But if a liberal student comes and they're like, hey, I really seek to understand this, or help me know, or I try not to like pummel them, if that makes sense, because at least I think that's effective, right? Now, if they come with like a uniquely grotesque idea, then I'm going to try to expose it to the audience and to the, online community. But no, look, I learn a lot and I hope the audience does too. And I mean, the physical crowds are now 3,000-4,000 people almost every time we do this. So I'm a big proponent of Hillsdale College. So Hillsdale, I think, is America's greatest college because it's what college should be, which is it's the development of the soul and character. So character is one of the most important things that you can invest in when you're 18, 19, 20 years old. And I guarantee you, if you go to most colleges, they're about preparing you for your career, but they're not about preparing your character. And character is really, really important, right? Character literally comes from the Greek word tattoo, or to etch into you. Character will define every decision, right? From what you eat to what you drink, to how you communicate to people, to the decisions you make. Way more important than whether you have a skill. Having a skill is important. I'm not diminishing that. But if you guys are building a business, wouldn't you rather have people of high character or high skill? Of course you want people of high character. Skills can come. Character is the hard thing. And so I think that we as the college world has done a really bad job of developing character. They don't even prioritize it instead.
Why?
Why do they not teach character? Well, first of all, they don't think that's their reason for existing. Most of them, it depends. Like the super left-wing colleges, which is most of them, they're all like, we're here to create global citizens for an ever-changing world, like some sort of pablum. Or they're like, we want to have you very specific skill. Like we want you to be able to like turn a widget, which by the way, if AI replaces that job, what do you have? That's a cool thing about developing character. Like if AI replaces jobs, you still have the most important of all things, which is the difference between good and evil, right and wrong, beauty and ugly, right? You know the difference between the high things and the low things. Like that's what we should strive for in higher education. That's why I think Hillsdale does a great job. But yeah, if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer, of course you have to go to college, right? But you still have to go through this ridiculous environment of left-wing social indoctrination. But I will say though that I've debated all around the world. I've debated at Cambridge and Oxford, all across the country. The other problem is that they're not in the pursuit of wisdom. And this is one of the more important things. Like if you ask a regular college kid, what is the difference between knowledge and wisdom? They'll just trip over themselves. And it's not a semantic thing, but semantic means meaning, but it's not a semantic thing. It's actually important. Knowledge is just facts. Like, okay, I know the capital of, California, Sacramento, whatever. Wisdom is the knowledge of things that never change. It's the understanding of things that never change. It's like, what is human nature? What does it mean to be a good person? What is beauty? What is goodness? What is the best way of living? What is a society in its fullest form? Is it good to have children? Wisdom is understanding that, is even playing with the idea, like, is there a God? Like, who are we? How did we get here? I think that's what college should be all about, is the cultivation of wisdom. As a Christian, we believe wisdom starts with the fear of the Lord. But yeah, I don't mean to talk uninterrupted for 10 minutes straight, but yeah, I think that college has completely derailed its purpose.
Freedom. Be in control of your own life and your own destiny. I don't want Washington, D.C. to tell me how to live my life.
All right, so can I ask you though,
Tell the government to get out of
what would you
our
recommend, say,
lives.
for like environmental issues where like
Property rights.
a corporation would
Property rights. If it's
pollute a
public
river or
land, they're
something?
free to protect it.
Yeah, I think states care more about their public rivers.